This video is brought to you by Law Excellence IAS Academy.
Dear students, good morning. Welcome to Law Excellence R&D. Let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 14th August 2019. The first article for discussion, Writing Out a Clean Bill on Health. This article is about the newly passed National Medical Commission Bill. Previously, there was Medical Council of India Bill. It was replaced by NMC. What was the first criticism put forward by the allopathic doctors? It is about NEET and next exam. It goes against the aspirations of the states, and many of the states cannot compete with each other. So in this context, what this NEET or next exam brought in, one exam, one nation. Previously, the exams for the medical entrances, both at the level of undergraduation and post-graduation, it brought in one single exam, both for these. So the next is after the graduation, NEET is before the graduation. And the second, another criticism is this bill allowing for the bridge courses to nurse practitioners, Ayush doctors, is encouraging quacks. So, but if you carefully observe, this is not encouraging quacks. See the problem. On the rural side, we have a huge deficiency of doctors. Many of the allopathic doctors are not interested to practice on rural side. This urban-rural skew or disproportionate doctors' presence on urban side and lack of them on the rural side, how it has to be solved. The status quo has to be changed. Internationally, if we observe Thailand, China, they have experimented with middle-level caregivers, and in India, in Assam and Chhattisgarh, licensed medical practitioners, a new kind of doctors with 3 years of training have brought in. This has solved the problem of rural-urban divide. Why can't India go with that? The third thing is, only 50% of the seats of the private medical colleges will be regulated. It means the remaining 50% will be unregulated. That leads to increase in the cost of medical education will further enhance unethical practices in medicine. So here author argues this way, how come investors come into medical education which is very resource intensive? It means to establish a medical college is very expensive. Then obviously the state shall take the responsibility if private investors do not come into that area when doctors are essential. In Cuba, who took the responsibility of the education? It is nothing but state. So, increase in cost of education also increases certain competition and unethical practices in that particular profession. So, I do not agree with this with the author. The next is the National Medical Commission. The number of elected representatives were decreased, nominated officials have increased. Previously, Medical Council of India fully consists of the doctors, elected people. So in this case, the author made a very valuable point. The Medical Council of India is supposed to regulate the doctors and medical colleges. What has to be regulated is electing the regulators. Obviously, the people who are supposed to be regulated will have a bargaining power with the regulators. That's a very valid argument. These are the points. The contours of the Kashmir MOU. So internationally, the unilateral actions by the countries are increasing. So India's action cannot be stated as unilateral because already US, Russia, Israel, many countries have taken up the actions which are outside the scope of United Nations, sometimes against the United Nations statements. So India has division of Kashmir, which Pakistan says it will take into UN Security Council, will not have any impact. So in this context, what have led to this particular move by government of India? The first one is US-Afghan factor. So in Afghanistan, the talks are going on with the Taliban and America wants to vacate the place. It means that the people who are close to are the puppets of Pakistan, they can come into power, or the elections in Afghanistan will not be made relevant. So this is a security concern for India. And the second thing is, reorganization of Kashmir is not an issue in spite of shouting by the Pakistan. For the reason Pakistan did the same. So Pakistan has reorganized Gilgit-Baltistan and made them as provinces directly administered by the that is the central government. And this kind of administrative reorganization is going on in Pakistan itself. And the next is when Nehru, Prime Minister Nehru, took the matter to UN has appointed UN observer, a military observer group in India and Pakistan. It has outlived its utility. How can we say that? It made no comments when Pulwama attack and then Balakot attacks. All this kind of India-Pakistan rivalry is going on. It did not make any comments and it was just silent. It means that UN's body, UN military observer group in India and Pakistan, has outlived its utility. And if we see the international matters, Israel bombing of Gaza, or Russian attack in Crimea, US shifting its the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, in all these matters, in spite of the UN's actions and statements, the countries have acted unilaterally. So in this context, most of the countries, when they are acting unilaterally, the multilateral arrangements to bring in peace are not going forward or are becoming useless. So, how these populistic leaders are going unilaterally, either it is Putin, Trump or Modi, so in the name of the will of the people. So, Prime Minister Modi in his radio speech says that removal of Article 370, 35A, all are in the name of the will of the people. So the responsibility for the actions is not taken by the leadership. It is seen as the interest of the collective society. So this is how they claim the legitimacy for their actions. So these are the 4 points which we need to keep in mind whenever we say the multilateral arrangements are losing its significance in today's politics across the world, and the growth of right wing is happening in the name of the will of the people. The next, sanguine amid slowdown. So in India, economic experts say that economy is getting slowed down and the joblessness and per capita incomes are joblessness is increasing, per capita income is decreasing. So but however, people are very hopeful. So in this case, the economic performance is also depends upon another factor that is called as people's outlook towards the economy. If the people are positive in their outlook, obviously a kind of positive energy comes into the economy. Inflation actually increases with inflation expectations. Whenever you observe, when monetary policy statement is been made by the RBI, one of the factor which it takes into consideration is inflation expectation that is existing among the people. So in this context, the economic performance depends upon the positive mood that exists among the people. And the next, war within war. So let's understand it this way. Yemen. So in Yemen, the fight is going on between the government and Houthi rebels. Houthi rebels are Shiites and they are getting their support from Iran, and government is getting its support from Saudi Arabia, and previously the coalition of UAE and all these countries. So now there is a rift which is coming within this Saudi coalition to overthrow the Houthi rebels. Remember here, there is a huge humanitarian loss, and Mr. Prince Salman's attack or the so-called as crownship depends upon the victory on Yemen. That's how we can describe it as. Now, there is STC, Southern Transitional Council. So UAE wants to take it forward. But Saudi Arabia wants to take forward Islah and Sunni Islamic Party in this Yemen. So there are fissures which are coming up in the ruling coalition itself. In spite of this, the attacks on Houthi rebels more or less they have decreased these years, and the way forward to end this humanitarian crisis is to bring in ceasefire. The immediate need here is ceasefire. And deliberate, don't disrupt. There is a beautiful point which is suggested you can add to your recommendation to improve the parliamentary performance. Discuss, debate and decide, but not disrupt. This is the statement of Vice President Mr. Venkaiah Naidu. In this context, this particular parliament has shown, this session of the parliament has shown highest efficiency and productivity. But however, there is also a complaint that most of the bills which are being decided, they are not referred to the standing committees, and the opposition was not given the time to deliberate onto this. It is not just deliberation, the quality of the deliberation is also important. And the next is, in India, the political parties, they can regulate their members through whip. So the political parties shall sit together and evolve a model code of conduct for the behavior of its members on the floor of the house. So this kind will increase the parliamentary performance and the quality of debate. That's what is the recommendation which we can recommend in our exam too. Chief Justice advocates more autonomy to CBI. CBI is described as the caged parrot because it is under the control of the central government. So if we have to make it independent, provide the independence to the head of the office, that is the CBI director. So here CJI recommends that he shall be equivalent in position like CAG. And the second thing is, the public order is the state subject. As interstate crime is increasing, the public order shall be brought into concurrent list for certain aspects of the crime, and there has to be control of the center in certain aspects of the crime. This is what he has suggested. And the next, balancing Tamil Nadu's growth model. Today, most of the cities are going to face a water crisis situation because these are unable to sustain the number of people living on a particular unit of land. So in this case, the Chennai's vast water crisis shall not just be seen as a supply constraint. It is growth or the demand pull which is becoming enormous. It is sucking out all the resources. So that's why the first rule is, let's spread out the growth. It means rather than building the large cities, let's make the urbanization more and more even. And the next is desalination plants. As India is becoming a water stressed country, our policy has to be changed from water abundant country to water less country. So think like Saudi Arabia, think like Israel. So in this context, Saudi Arabia built all along the coast desalination plants. India also shall promote this technology towards building the desalination plants. And the next is the cultivation pattern. It is water consuming. So just making the water to flow or irrigate the paddy fields, it is taking more than 3000 liters of water to grow a kg of rice. So in this context, let's change this cultivation pattern to judiciously use the water. So these are the three recommendations given by this article. Easy kicks off delimitation process. Thank you. What I can say here is, previously we discussed about three things which the center has to do. One is restore the statehood to Kashmir. Second is conduct the elections as soon as possible. Third thing is bring in the consultative process live again and provide for the development which is promised to them. So when we do these three things, bringing back the state or the status of a state, a political unit, and the second, conducting elections, free and fair elections as early as possible, and the third thing is providing for development which is been stated as an agenda for division. If all these three things go, we can win the hearts of Kashmiris. In this context, Election Commission initiating the delimitation process is a positive step. And thank you very much. Have a great day. Tomorrow I will not be available, so I may not be doing the video tomorrow. Thank you very much.